The story of Season 12 in Formula E has been full of drama with heartbreak and heroics in equal measure. With 2 titles to be decided, it is time for us to write the final chapter. Welcome along to the championship curtain call in 2026. It is the London E-Prix. Well, what a season we have had so far in 2026, and it finally comes down to this at the Excel. One final time in 2026. Lucas Di Grassi, in his season-ending and his career-ending race in Formula E, is right at the very back with a stop-go penalty for changing the inverter and MGU. He has got Nato alongside for company after he struggled in qualifying. Jake Dennis, who sits in second in the championship, is only in P16. He missed out on the duels by a tenth of a second. Max Günther, 3-place grid penalty for the DS Penske driver for exiting the pits under a red light in FP3. Marti, also a 3-place penalty for contact with Vergne in yesterday's race. Vergne, incidentally, alongside the Andretti of Felipe Drugovich there, just on the fringes of the top 10. And to the top 10 then, Sebastian Buemi started on row 5 yesterday and went on to finish in P4. Antonio Felix da Costa had his first ever podium on Saturday here in London as well. Dan Ticktum suffered a brake-by-wire issue in the quarterfinals, and Nyck Cassidy, who's a 3-time winner here, had contact with Nico Müller in the race, and subsequently they have had a bit of a to-do out there here on track this weekend as well. Taylor Barnard, a best-ever finish of P5 since Monaco here on Saturday, and Mitch Evans, to win the title today, he must take the victory and outscore everybody else by at least 22 points. It's an all-Porsche row 2. Nico Müller, his second row start of the season. Pascal Wehrlein, the championship leader, by 5 points. He's the highest driver on the grid in the top 3 places of the championship. And for the last time in Gen 3, it's a Mahindra front row lockout. They took the first ever pole back in Mexico nearly 3 years ago. An outright track record for Nyck de Vries, his first pole in Gen 3 as well, and the first one since Seoul 2022.
Line, and there's every possibility of doing that.
Absolutely. Well, for one last time, the green flag is waved at the back of the grid. We then turn our attention to the red light and wait for 5 of them to come on here. On the left-hand side is Nyck de Vries, on the right-hand side is Edoardo Mortara. 2 championships on the line to be decided for one last time. Let's see who will excel in London as the lights go out and we go racing. De Vries away from pole position, followed by Edoardo Mortara, who ducks into the wheel tracks of him. On the inside there is Taylor Barnard, looking to try and challenge against Nico Müller. Can't quite make anything stick as it concertinas up through the first couple of corners. Some drivers nearly coming to a stop, but a textbook start for the 2 Mahindras at the front of the race as Da Costa there is going side by side with Dan Ticktum for 8th place on the run through turn 3.
Yeah, Ticktum go really sideways there, and in fact they're still side by side, so we'll see when they come into this very tight chicane whether they survive. But up at the front, as we expected, the 2 Mahindras ahead of the 2 Porsches.
Yeah, Mahindra sitting in 4th place in the team's championship now, within 10 points of 3rd for Andretti, so a lot on the line for that manufacturer. The 2 Porsches there in 3rd and 4th place here for Wehrlein and Müller as it stands for now. They're trailing by 5 points in the team's championship, but of course it's all eyes on the drivers' championship. For Jake Dennis, he started in P16. He's actually dropped a place here, DC. He's down in 17th.
Yeah, we didn't see that far down the grid to see where that happened, but as Kiro mentioned, everyone has survived, and expect to see the pace being controlled by De Vries in some of these tight, twisty sections.
It's a bit of deja vu for Mitch Evans, isn't he? He spent the early part of yesterday's race just staring at the back of Nico Müller's gearbox, and he's finding himself in that same position with Wehrlein breaking away. So Müller once again playing the rear guard for Edoardo Mortara still. I can hear on some of the team radio, I'm listening in the commentary box, he's pushing for this team to ask De Vries to increase the pace, but that's not happening so far.
And Da Costa's gone through on Wehrlein for 3rd place there. Wehrlein subsequently going for attack mode. I think his hand was kind of forced there, really, to be honest with you. The upshot is that Wehrlein's going to have more attack mode remaining once Da Costa runs out. Team radio for De Vries.
And Barnard's got ahead of Wehrlein there.
Yeah, nice little move.
Side by side with Da Costa versus Edoardo Mortara, trying to disrupt the rhythm of the 2 Mahindras down into turn 1. Can't make anything stick on the Swiss driver through there, but he's getting the hurry up here, isn't he, at the moment, and trying to get himself into the race lead and give Jaguar a chance of controlling things at the front of this race here, Albie.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, you can see Jaguar actually have done a really good job getting the Costa early with that early attack move, get to the front, and try to make sure put themselves in that team's championship.
Yeah, these 48 seconds for Da Costa are now absolutely crucial, and Mortara knows that, chops his way over to the inside, forces Da Costa the long way round in towards the custom house chicane, can't make anything stick, has to back out, does the Portuguese driver. Wehrlein is there in the background now, ready to pounce as well, and he's going to have 3 minutes of attack mode remaining, so about 2.5 once Da Costa has come to the end of it, and surely then it's going to go from Da Costa having the advantage to then subsequently falling out a bit as Vries goes in for his first deployment and manages crucially to retain it ahead as they go side by side for second between Da Costa and Mortara, who's defending like a lion here as he challenges for position. Now Da Costa is under pressure here from Wehrlein once again. Barnard's there ready to pick the pocket of them both as they come through the final series of corners. Da Costa's going to come to the end of his attack mode here and may leave himself vulnerable down on the run into the first corner, but what it has done is just given the Mahindras a little bit more breathing room at the front of this race.
Yeah, Da Costa seemed to be a bit tentative. I guess that overall picture of the team's championship has not made him as aggressive as we saw with Jake Dennis yesterday. You know, when he had these opportunity, he really sent it.
Yeah, absolutely. You can see, so Vries has managed to keep the lead, hasn't he? He's done well there, but going into the attack mode, not really losing too much time. And his teammate is still stuck there behind him.
All Da Costa has to do to try and hold off this challenge of Pascal Wehrlein. He's doing a fantastic job for both him and the team so far here.
And Da Costa will be fully aware. Wehrlein can't take any risks here. Da Costa's not in the championship fight. Wehrlein absolutely is the favourite to win today, and he can't take the risk. 4, 3, 2, 1. Is he going to outdrag him, Tom?
He's alongside him down the start-finish straight, and he has managed to find his way through as they come down in towards turn 1. So Wehrlein, against all the odds, does manage to get past Antonio Felix Da Costa, move his way up into 4th place. But look at the gap now. There's about 5 seconds between these two and Taylor Barnard, who's up the road. Wehrlein and Buemi. What do you make of that, Albie?
So basically they're keeping one in the pocket, longer duration one as well, just to cover up Barnard whenever he goes.
Here comes Evans on the inside, and there's contact with Nico Müller down into turn 19. He forces him to the outside, forces his way through. Cassidy picks his pocket there as well. There was frustration and impatience creeping through from Mitch Evans, and we're not surprised at all. Eventually, though, he does manage to get himself up through to 7th place at the start of lap 17.
You see Cassidy there, despite being in attack mode, went and had a look, but this backed out of his fellow Kiwi. He's sort of down the inside and decided to just sit behind him.
Yeah, whether there's going to be a bit of compatriotmanship, if that's a term to coin, going on here. Down near to turn 9, he's going to pull to his inside and go straight past him. Evans won't fight it too hard, not much point really. Drugovich in the background there, just moving himself up the order in his first attack mode in the Andretti. Andretti having something of a quiet race with just one car, one driver in the points as it stands for now, which is Felipe Drugovich.
Just on the
Kind
same
of
times.
stayed in front.
Yeah, he's just on the exactly same times as the first 4.
Because when
fours.
Edo passed Vries, that was an orchestrated overtake, right? So they'll
Yes.
probably just reverse that afterwards.
Yeah, you'd imagine so. Let's have a look at Jake Dennis here. This is over the crest of the hill, and a bit of what looked like rubber coming off of the tyre there. Certainly some debris covering the T-cam on Jake Dennis's car. 16th place he is still sitting in.
So a little bit of team tactics there. What Andretti have done is they've asked Drugovich to hold the pack and actually do exactly what I was talking about with Jag. And that's allowed Dennis to actually get up and into that sort of, let's say, 3rd group. And then he's going to try to push forward, I guess.
Yeah, if he's in a chance to get into the points positions, and again, you get that late race safety car, he can then be in a position to maybe cycle through, use that extra energy later on the race. It's a big gamble, but they've got nothing to lose at this point. He's got 4 minutes of attack mode left of him, and you can see there Mortara and Vries have now switched places once again. Vries back in front in this race. The two Mahindras with 6 minutes left of attack mode. Barnard, Da Costa, Wehrlein, etc., all the way down to Nyck Cassidy, all with 4 minutes left in their locker.
So Dennis, as you said, that's his first attack mode, isn't it, for Dennis? Oh, side by side.
Yeah, trying to challenge here against Antickton. The two Britons going head-to-head with one another and wheel-to-wheel into turn 3. Dennis has got the position. He's up through and into 15th place then here at the start of lap 25. And you can see a stream of cars unfolding in front of him thanks to teammate Felipe Drugovich, who's brought them right back into play now here. Looking
I mean, already Evans has pulled 4 seconds on Da Costa, 5 seconds in fact. So Da Costa's doing a fantastic team job here. And Buemi, of course, in a customer Jaguar coming down the inside. Oh, look at this!
Fantastic, as Buemi then forces his way through on the inside. Wehrlein's going to lose a handful of places, so is Da Costa there as well. They both drop down behind Buemi, behind Nyck, Cassidy, and Dennis is right through and into the mix. On the inside he goes here against Pepe Marti into turn 19, and Jake Dennis, who's been down in the doldrums in this race, is now right back into play and trying to fire himself into championship contention here as we come across the timing line. Wehrlein then being attacked here by Joel Eriksson, who's in attack mode, looks for the outside line against the Porsche, but can't find his way through into turn 1.
And Dennis is ahead of Wehrlein. Dennis is ahead of Wehrlein, and Wehrlein is out of the points.
Pascal Wehrlein out of the points for the first time. How the tables are turning in Formula E. Look at that, 3 points separating both Wehrlein and Dennis as it stands for now. So gaining another couple of places would be enough for Jake Dennis to come through. He's in 9th position, that's 2 points. He'll need at least another 3. So he needs to get himself into 7th place if Wehrlein's to not score.
No risk. Yeah, it's not possible. He's brake checking me everywhere here.
Yeah, Wehrlein will be 2 points ahead now, but this is going to ebb and flow with the different attack modes coming out. Only 5 laps to go, Tom, and Dennis has gone for attack. So Dennis has gone in for it, as has Jean-Eric Vergne in the Citroen.
Yeah, so into their final attack mode deployments. Evans, who still has 1 attack mode remaining, but he's about 6 seconds or so off the back of the top 3. It's going to be a tall order for him. On the inside goes, and so it's Da Costa against Pascal Wehrlein. Wehrlein in attack mode, Da Costa in attack mode. They come together as they exit down the final corner. Wehrlein goes for the defensive line. Da Costa tries to challenge as they head down into the first series of turns, but can't make anything stick, and they've closed the gap right back up onto the pack now. And Dennis has also dropped down 1 further place behind Cassidy to 9th.
So the 2 championship contenders are now nose to tail in 9th and 10th place, but Dennis, crucially, will have an extra lap of attack mode.
This could come down to a fastest lap point, to remind you, in this race as well. 1 extra point if you're inside the top 10, and you do get fastest lap in this one.
Drivers' Championship is the one where the publicity lies. Would you sacrifice a car?
Well, they're going to be pretty second-hand after this race, I'm sure, because we move over to the Gen 4 era of Formula E. Nose-tail into attack mode. Then, for the final time, goes Sebastian. But Buemi, Dennis on the inside. Contact there as they go side by side with Pascal Wehrlein. Wehrlein muscling his way through, and he spins round.
Dennis is out.
Dennis is going to be out of this race, and so's Wehrlein. They're both out. The championship contenders are, aren't they? Dennis gets going in a cloud of smoke. Can Wehrlein get going, though, as well? The yellow flag's out down in the final sector. Right, let's wait and see. It's a double yellow down at turn 17. If that gets called as a safety car, that could really change the complexion of this race in the dying stages. But the track's now clear, and they're both back out into the race. The upshot is Dennis has dropped down to 14th place and is out of the points, and so is Pascal Wehrlein as well. So, if it finishes as it is now, it'll be Wehrlein who, again, will come back into championship contention and win the title.
Eriksson there, and Eriksson ended up in the path of Dennis. Dennis is in the pits.
Dennis is in the pits, but crucially, Pascal Wehrlein is not. He's carrying on. He's going to try and limp his car home to the checkered flag. Also, Joel Eriksson in his final race for Envision out of this race. And for Jake Dennis, what a bitter end to a phenomenal championship run that he's had at the end of this season. Ever since we came to China in Sanya, he has been on top form, and sadly for the Briton, it's going to come to no points here.
And what we've missed in all this is Taylor Barnard is now in the lead of the race. He's got ahead of both the Mahindras. So all of a sudden, we've been watching the battle in the championship leaders, understandably, but Taylor Barnard has ended up in the lead.
Phenomenal. He's done a great job then of conserving energy in this race, using that extra power of attack mode with a later deployment compared to De Vries and Mortara to go through. Now, Evans, he's in the final attack mode deployment. He's got 2 minutes and 20 seconds left. He's within 6 seconds, but it's going to be so difficult for him to make anything stick at this point. He's got that final attack mode, but he's not got the time, and the gap is just, I think, going to be too insurmountable. For Taylor Barnard, meanwhile, in DS's final race in Formula E, as that name will exit the championship at the end of this season, he could be on to become the youngest ever winner in Formula E, whilst it all kicked off for the title behind.
I don't know how Mahindra have screwed this up, because they had everything in position. They just missed out on it.
Yeah, we didn't see what happened there in that lead battle, but As you said, Barnard never won a race. They've had a pretty torrid season, DS Penske. And here comes Mitch Evans lapping his championship rival, Jake Dennis there. So he's going to need a bit of a miracle here, Mitch Evans. But as we've seen today, crazier things have happened.
Absolutely. Over the line we go then to begin the final lap of 2026 of Gen 3 in Formula E. A reminder that Jaguar leading the Teams Championship. They will be taking the Teams Championship if it finishes as it is, with Mitch Evans in P4. Da Costa's out of the points, but crucially, so are both of the Porsches. And Vries is now all over the back of Taylor Barnard once again. So is he going to go for a Hail Mary, a move on this final lap to challenge for the last win in Gen 3 of Formula E here in London? Through in towards turn 9 we go. Barnard is going to have to defend unless he can get a great exit out of it, and Vries isn't close enough to attack here, DC.
Yeah, well, you never know whether he might try and send it in 16.
Through the custom house chicane we go for the final time. Nose to tail in the battle for victory then. Barnard, who has had a torrid season by his standards, moved over to the DS Penske team, and unfortunately for him, it's not really worked out. However, in the final race of the year, it is all coming good for the Briton. He will become the youngest ever winner in Formula E history as he exits through into the final series of corners.
Still wants to fight. What an idiot, this guy. So loser. Beat you 3 years
Taylor
ago.
Barnard will make history as he takes the checkered flag and the win for DS Penske here at the last race of the XL in London. Vries over the line in second, and Mortara will bag the final podium place in third position. There's nose-to-tail battles further down the order in the top 10, but where is Pascal Wehrlein? He's going to finish outside of the points, but crucially, it will be enough for him to be crowned as the champion of season 12. But when he arrived in Formula E, no one was quite sure what to expect, and he had to establish himself in this championship. He did that back in season 10 as he romped to his first title, and this season he has been asked some serious questions, yet he has always managed to find an answer as he has contact there with Da Costa into the final series of corners, but he will exit out of the final turn here in London to become a two-time Formula E World Champion. Pascal Wehrlein is the 2026 title winner in Formula E, to the delight of the Porsche team. They miss out on the team's title, but they win the driver's title in the most dramatic of circumstances with a nail-bite again to that race.
But I don't think anyone can say he's not a deserving champion. He clearly wasn't enjoying the tactics of Da Costa, but I think that, you know, if you're going to give it, you've got to take it.
Absolutely. For Pascal Wehrlein then, well, the pressure is off. You can tell it was the last race of Gen 3 in Formula E, couldn't you? Because it was like watching go-karting at a rental place around there at some points in that one. Goodness me. For Taylor Barnard, Albie, just a quick mention to him, the youngest ever winner in Formula E. An amazing job from the Briton in a season where it's not all gone his way at all.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, from a strategy point of view, they nailed it. I mean, they waited for both Mahindras to take their attack.
Championship for DS Penske in a season that has been far from perfect. Down in 9th in the Teams Championship they were coming into this race. They get their just rewards after a long and arduous season. Taylor Barnard making history by becoming the youngest ever winner in Formula E as well. What a great drive and what a great way to end this year for the Briton. Second place for Nyck de Vries, third place for Edoardo Mortara. For Jaguar as well, here we are in the garage. They do become the Teams Champions of 2026. Mitch Evans finishing in 4th place just helped them that little bit further along. They had a 5-point advantage over both the Porsches, who failed to score this afternoon. And Jaguar have done it then. They win the team's title in season 12 of Formula E.
Representing the winning team, DS Penske, is Julian Grafales Garcia.
Formula E for the very first time.
And now
time for God Save the King to play here in London. a revelation. This year, he has had a tricky time of things, but ultimately, he has been able to show his class and composure. And he is now a winner in Formula E for the very first time, making history by becoming the youngest ever victor in this series history. Taylor Barnard on the top step of the podium. Now time for the Taché de Champagne to be sprayed, for all of our dignitaries to run and take cover as the confetti flies here at the XL, and the sound system gets turned up to 11. Will he take a drink of that champagne on the podium? I think he's going to wait until a little bit later on.
Because clearly they're a party.
Yep, wins the PIF driver of the race. The last corner overtake on Edoardo Mortara going into the final stages. And now time for those top three to celebrate with one another. Very beginning, so every race Jake Dennis would have been a part of, Brandon would have been there, and he'll be bowing out from that team after this weekend. Very emotional inside the Andretti box for a number of different reasons following the conclusion this weekend. Ultimately for them, it's not the way they're in pretty bad shape, so to lift that home to the checkered flag is something that he can be proud of. But for this man here, for Pascal Wehrlein, it's a second Drivers' World Championship in Formula E to the delight of the Porsche team. Signs the lens of the camera and can really enjoy the plaudits. He won his first title here a couple of years ago in season 10, and for the final year of Gen 3, he is a double Formula E Drivers' World Champion.
And now, the national anthem of the World Championship.
Now time then for the national anthems.
Germany.
Time at the office here today as well. And now time then for the main event, the Drivers' World Championship trophy to be awarded. And it is awarded for a second time to Pascal Wehrlein in Formula E, who is the 2026 Drivers' World Champion here in London.
And now it's time to celebrate.
Well, now time for the dignitaries to run and take cover, and for those just below the podium to also do the same as the confetti flies once more and the pyrotechnics go berserk for the final time here at the XL in London. Celebrations all round as we conclude season 12 in Formula E in spectacular style. For Pascal Wehrlein, it's a second Drivers' World title. For Jaguar, it's a second team.